Now, it turns out that 2/3 of us get into debt over funerals, and the cost we expect to pay is around £4,000. The actual cost, on average, ends up closer to £7,000. The Scottish anti-poverty charity Community Renewal commissioned the research. Let's talk to Angela Johnson, funeral director at Caledonia Crematorium. And Marlyn Davidson has lost 3 close relatives recently. Hello to both of you.
Hello.
Hello there.
Marlyn, first of all, thank you. I mean, you've been through this process more than most people. Just tell me about how difficult it can be and how costly it can be and whether you can be ready for that cost.
Yeah, it's so difficult. Most people think about their death and their plan, but when it comes down to it, you life just passes you by. And in particular, in our circumstance, we lost 3 close relatives at the one time, kind of close by each other. And you know, one of our relatives could afford a funeral but didn't want to. His value base was along the lines of Caledonia Cremations, and the end-to-end service that was provided there meant his values were able to be met. And then both of my other 2 relatives were impoverished throughout their whole life, so it meant that the other family would have had to have met the needs to support if a big funeral was going ahead. And definitely Caledonia Cremations was superb from start to finish. I can't thank them enough.
Before I get to them, can you tell me, roughly who it was that passed away, and what then drives you to think, well, I've got to get a cheaper funeral?
Well, basically it was based on the values and the fact that most people can't afford massive funerals and the costs are astronomical. And basically all I did is I was adhering to wishes, and I thought I'd have a look around, and basically I came across Caledonia Cremations, which was kind of along the value base that our family's ethos is. And we just thought we don't want anybody to be left in debt, and we want to try and make a difference for other people that are in similar situations. It's been such a tough time for the families from our both sides, but having Angela and the Caledonia Cremation family there to offer that end-to-end service made such a difference to us.
Okay, let me bring Angela in. Hello, Angela.
Hello there.
So you're funeral director at Caledonia Cremations, and Marlyn's talked about you there. So this cost, and I know there are Scottish government. There's some help available should you want, isn't there? And there are cheaper deals here. So how does this work?
So certainly, I mean, we were primarily set up as a means to provide a low-cost cremation service. And what we find, I mean, the funeral support payment that is available through the Scottish Government, we are finding that more than covers our low cost, that more than covers.
Am I right in saying it's about £1,500? Is that right, or a bit more?
It's usually a wee bit more depending on where you are in the country, but when you take into account that we're just over £1,000, that then leaves families with several £100s for them to maybe go and have a separate memorial or a celebration of life. And actually the introduction of the funeral support payment has completely changed the situation for families financially in many cases.
I'm a bit confused now because the average, I just read out a bit, which says the average cost is £7,000. People think they're going to pay £4,000, but you're saying you can do it for £1,000.
Yeah, I mean, we're quite a specific service, and we're not traditional, so we're not for everyone. And when we talk about the results of the poll that we conducted, that is the cost of an average funeral in Scotland.
So what do you do that makes it cheaper? What happens?
So we do what's called direct cremation, and essentially what that does is it separates the disposal of the body, if you like, from the service that's normally attached to the crematorium in most cases. It just separates those, and that's what allows us to keep our costs down. Most people that use our services will have sometimes elaborate services. It's just that they won't be held on that day whilst the cremation takes place. So it's just doing things slightly differently. And one of the things that we always seek to promote, because I mean it's clear to me that that's not something that you're familiar with, and one of our key aims is to keep maintaining the discussion around funeral poverty, and most importantly, letting people know of the options that are available to them.
Sure.
Because we strongly believe that people should be able to make an informed decision when making end-of-life plans.
All right, I'm guessing too it's been really busy. And Marlyn, has COVID affected this in your family?
Yes. Two of the situations were COVID based, and just the fact that we had the two people in such close parameters meant that we were able to just go back to Angela's team, and they took care of the needs that saved us having to do that ourselves. And that part, we were able to then go on and have a family gathering that suited the needs that we wanted.
Right, I've got you. So as I understand this then, Angela, you're saying the direct cremation, there's no ceremony. It's just you dispose of the body and people can have their own get-together. Is that right?
The only difference is that there aren't mourners at the crematorium, so it's a dignified and affordable option. But yeah, sometimes there is a misconception. It's you take the body away and burn it. It's absolutely not the case. As I say, the only difference is that the family aren't present at on the day.
All right. Thank you for talking to me, Angela and Marlyn. Thank you very much indeed.